Well, hello everybody, and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I really want to talk to you about the importance of putting to your golf game and to scoring. And to do that, I'm going to use a personal experience that happened to me this week in a two-day golf tournament that I played in. And this example of what happened to me is going to be show you what really bad putting does to your golf game, and then what good putting does to your golf game as far as score is concerned. I will say that it start off with this is a little embarrassing that when I talk to you about the poor putting part, something that I really don't like to admit, but I thought it would be helpful to you, and I'm going to stick it out there. So I really want you to stay through this entire video and get the whole grasp of what has happened here. And during the video, I'm going to show you what I did in between rounds, or really before my second round, to save myself, to get myself back on track so that I could have a good putting day the second day and perform a whole lot better. So let's jump into it, and let me just start telling you about my first round of golf. So the tournament that I was playing in is the Gulf Coast chapter of the Alabama Northwest Florida PGA section championship. So the PGA is broken up into sections. I'm in the Alabama Northwest Florida section. Then our section is broken up into two chapters. We have the Alabama chapter and then the Gulf Coast chapter. And the Gulf Coast chapter includes from kind of Montgomery, Alabama down all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, and it includes all of the whole state of Alabama down here and then the panhandle of Florida. So we were having our Gulf Coast chapter championship this week. It was over at the Grand Hotel in Point Clear, Alabama, an absolutely beautiful facility, 36 holes. We played one of the courses one day, the Azalea course, and then the second day we played the Dogwood course. These two golf courses are fantastic. They were in great shape. The greens were perfect. So I had absolutely zero excuses on my putting except for me. So in the first round of golf, I started off poorly. Knocked my second shot, hit a tee shot on the first hole right down the fairway, knocked a second shot in the water, took a drop with the penalty stroke, knocked it on the green, three putt, make a triple bogey. So first three putt. Next hole, knock it on the green with a nice punch out from under a tree that gets me up on the green. It's a par four. I've got a birdie putt. I three putt, I make a bogey. Next hole, I three putt, I make a bogey. I three putt four of my first five holes. Now, this is not like me on a normal basis. Normally, I am an average putter to sometimes I can be streaky good, but I rarely ever fall back into this really poor putting performance. And I didn't feel right all day long. I had zero confidence. My hands felt very shaky. As a matter of fact, the next day we were on the driving range warming up, and one of the guys that played with me, two other guys were talking about having poor putting rounds, and I made a comment of, hey, I could have played in that group. And the guy that played with me, his words were, yeah, dude, you were fighting some kind of demon yesterday. And I was fighting some type of demon in my head. I don't know what was going on, but I'm missing putts that are 1.5 feet, 2 feet long. I'm having putts that are 20 feet long that I'm running 10 feet past. I had zero confidence. So long story short, I end up on the day, I had 8 three putts and a 4 putt. Now, if you just go off a 2 putt average and not talking about 1 putting at all, that right there is 10 strokes that I have just thrown away in a round of golf. Now, I also had 2 balls in the water, like I said, on the first hole, and then another hole on the course. I drove a tee ball in the water on a par 5. So I've got 2 balls in the water. I've got 8 three putts, a 4 putt. That's basically 12 strokes right there, and I shoot 88. 88. It was very embarrassing. It was humiliating to a degree, but I accepted it for what it was. It was my fault. And I got up the next morning and I decided that I was going to do something about it. So what did I do? I didn't give up, which I was proud of. I didn't just succumb to, well, I'm putting poorly, and went into the next round without a plan. I got up the next morning and I got to the golf course early, which I had to get to the golf course early because I played so badly. I was in the first tee time of the senior division, which I was teeing off at like 8:10 in the morning. But I got to the golf course earlier than I normally would, and I just went straight to the putting green. And I got my putting mirror out, and I got it set up on the green on about a 3-foot putt. Made sure that the putt was straight, and first thing I did is I just went in and I started checking my setup. And I noticed a thing or two in my setup that was a little bit off. Part of it is the putter that I use. I use a Odyssey. It's called the Jailbird Mini. I love the look of the putter. I love the feel of the putter. I like the feel of the putter when it hits the ball. The putter has one flaw for my game, that the shaft, the lie angle is a little too flat. And I've been using this putter for about 5 or 6 years, and I'm a little scared to bend the putter. I'm not sure what this hosel will do. So I have just always taken it to the point of just feeling like I've got the heel of the putter off the ground a little bit. Well, I had noticed that I wasn't doing that. And what happens is when I then get the putter sitting flat on the ground, my hands get too low down towards my body, and I don't putt well. I like to putt with the shaft of that club right in between my forearms. I like to putt with the grip running right up the palm, especially of my left hand. I don't like to get that grip down in my fingers. I like it way up in the palm of my left hand. And so my setup was a little bit off. And when I'm getting set up with that putter flat on the ground and my hands here too flat, my eyes are too far inside the ball. I like my eyes to be right on the target line, right behind the golf ball. So first things first, I was in a bad setup position. So I just stood there for 10 minutes or so, hitting putts, making sure that I was getting in the proper setup position. Now, if I was to give you a close-up look right here, right now, the heel of my putter is off the ground. And that doesn't bother me. I mean, heck, if you look at Steve Stricker, one of the best putters out there that was on the regular tour, now the senior tour, heel of his putter's off the ground. So the heel of my putter being off the ground doesn't bother me. I just have to be conscious and aware that that's what I need to do. So standing on the green, and I'm gonna put up a couple pictures here real quick of my little setup that I had, was actually yesterday morning to me, on the putting green. And you can see that that sun is barely coming up over the trees, and you can see the distance that I am from the hole. So like I said, I just started standing in here and I started hitting putts with my setup better and started getting myself comfortable with it again. And I just kind of hit them one after another. Here I go again. I've got that grip right up in the palm of my left hand. My eyes are in a perfect place. Putter is upright like I like it. Now, the day before on Monday, I couldn't make anything. I did not make really one putt over 5 feet the whole day. Like I said, I was missing 1-footers, 2-footers, 3-footers. It was just a disgusting display of golf. Well, I got on the putting green that morning, and I'm gonna tell you, I putted for probably 20 to 25 minutes. I didn't miss one putt. I made every single putt that I hit that morning. Now, after I got myself comfortable again with the proper setup, I then started going through my routine. So I started using the mirror still, but I was going through my putting routine like I would be on the golf course, which is I start behind the ball, I check my line, and then I go up next to the ball and I make 2 practice swings looking at the hole, getting a feel for my distance and how big my stroke should be. And here's one other thing that I changed that I really made sure that I was doing on that day. I was focusing my attention right on the back of the hole. I didn't have my attention focused on the front of the hole. I was focusing my attention on the back of the hole to make sure that my ball was going in the hole with some good speed. So, like I said, I then just started hitting putts going through my routine. And I was doing it one after another, in every single putt, going through my routine just like I would be on the golf course. And again, I never missed a putt on the putting green. And you know, from 3 feet, I shouldn't be missing putts. But then I did back it up to about 5 or 6 feet and kept doing this process and just kept making putts. One more here for y'all. And I use the triple track on my golf ball. And I set the triple track down so that I'm looking at it, and I'm not using the triple track for alignment. I use it to try and feel like my putter rolls through those tracks, and then I like to watch the ball as it's rolling with the triple track. And all of a sudden, my golf ball is just rolling perfectly end over end. There's no wobble to that roll. So that means I'm now hitting that putt solid. Well, let me tell you the results of my second day of the event. So a couple of things happened that morning as I was on the putting green. The feel of my setup changed, which, you know, is never a bad thing when you're doing something wrong. If you just change something, sometimes it feels better, but just that different feeling makes you think a little bit differently, okay? So I had a different feel in my setup. But the other thing that happened is now all of a sudden I had a little bit of confidence that what I was doing was the right thing to help me make putts. Whereas on Monday in the tournament, my confidence just kept plummeting as the day went on. And I noticed I'm standing up above putts and I'm going, oh, come on, don't miss this one, as opposed to, hey, stand there and make it. So here were the results of the second day. 0 3 putts, not one. No 4 putts either. So I went from the first day of having like 42 or 43 putts, I can't be sure which one it was, but I know it was not below 42, to the second day having 29 putts. And in that 29 putt round, statistically, it could have been lower from the standpoint that I had a couple holes where I missed the green just off the green and I putted from off the green. And when the golf statistics people, they don't count that as a putt. So, but I did on that day because I just wanted to count every stroke where I was using my putter. But I went from 42 to 43 putts down to 29 putts. And in those 29 putts, I made some really, really good putts. I made a couple of big par saving putts. I made 3 birdies on the day. I did still have 2 balls in the water, which that's a total nother subject. And the balls that were in the water, all 4 balls that were in the water on the 2 days were poor shots. None of them were a bad decision. They were all really poorly executed shots. But I had 2 balls in the water, 0 3 putts, 3 birdies, 3 bogeys. I shoot 76. Big, huge turnaround of 12 strokes in one day. So folks, this is how important putting is to your golf game. Now, I'll tell you one other thing that putting does, and when you putt well compared to when you putt poorly. When you're putting poorly, it affects your long game as well. It affects you standing out in the fairway, whether you've got a wedge in your hand or whether you've got a 7-iron in your hand. You're out there thinking, hey man, I got to hit this ball really close because I haven't made a thing all day long. I've got to get it in there to give myself a chance at a 2-putt, maybe a chance at a 1-putt. So it starts putting pressure on your long game. And I could feel a big difference on the second day. As I started rolling through, and on the front 9, I'll tell you this, I'll back up and I'll tell you the front 9. I made a double bogey on the first hole. Hit a drive right down the middle of the fairway and then hit a god-awful 3-wood on a par 5. I was trying to hit a cut shot. I hit a toe hook that went in the water. That was one of my water balls. dropped, I make a double bogey. It was a 2-putt double bogey, but I make a double bogey. So here it is. I'm starting off the second day of the tournament, first hole, making a double. You know, I could have just said, okay, here we go again. I'm getting ready to do the same thing I did on the first day, but I didn't. Parred the second hole, parred the third hole, parred the fourth hole, birdied the fifth hole, parred the sixth, birdied the seventh, parred the eighth and the ninth, finished the front nine even par, and was really, really starting to hit the ball well. Then I had a little lapse on 10, 11, 12, and 13. I mean, in that 10, 11, 12, and 13 range, I ended up getting 5 over par on the back nine, made one more birdie coming down to shoot 4 over on the back. I had a little lull in there that, again, my confidence kind of started to dip, but I fought back and got everything back together. Made a real good birdie on 16, had a great shot at birdie on 17, a par 3 that I thought I'd made. I hit this little putt from off the green that was coming down the hill. I thought it was going in, and it just hung right on the edge. So there it is. Putting is so important to your game. You guys have got to get out there and you have to practice your putting. You have to get confidence with your setup. You have to get confident with your stroke. And you have to have confidence on those greens to know that you are going to never 3-putt and that you've got a great chance of 1-putting every time you put that putter in your hand. And when that happens, you're gonna see your chipping game get better. You're gonna see your long game get better as well, because that confidence in your putting bleeds over into the rest of your round. And I was the perfect example. Poor putting on the first day. Honestly, embarrassing putting on the first day. Comically, jokingly bad putting on the first day. To the second day where I'm standing there making putts, and I will say this, I made a really clutch putt on 18 for par. I had missed the green just short. Actually, I thought the ball got on the green. I don't know if it got up on the green and then rolled down the face of the bunker, but anyhow, had a pitch shot over the bunker, pitched it up there to about 10 feet, made the par putt. So came away from a tournament where it could have been a disaster, actually feeling pretty good. I want to thank y'all for watching. If you have any comments or questions about your putting, please ask. If there's something that you would like to see me demonstrate in putting, please ask. I'll get a video up about it. Thanks so much for listening to my story. I'm glad I could share it with you, and I'll see y'all in the next video.